Well, I went looking for Fox's, I guess, discussion this morning on Trump's speech last night. Unfortunately, they didn't talk about it. They preferred to talk about Trump's shakeup of his campaign committee. And they even said that if they had a choice between talking about his speeches and talking about his personnel changes, they would take his personnel changes every single time, and that's exactly what they did. Anyway, here's Roland Martin's this comments regarding Trump's speech and the lack of anything of real substance, i.e. Solutions to the issues.
The Democratic Party has failed and betrayed the African American community. Let us look at the situation right here in Milwaukee, a city run by Democrats for decade after decade. Last year, killings in this city increased by 69%, plus another 634 victims of non-fatal shootings. 18 to 29-year-olds accounted for nearly half of the homicide victims. The poverty rate here is nearly double the national average. Almost 4 in 10 African-American men in Milwaukee between the ages of 25 and 54 do not have a job.
Well, that was Donald Trump last night, folks, in a Milwaukee suburb, giving a speech on why black folks should vote for him. It was a law and order speech, but also it was a speech that was supposed to reference African Americans. And you heard Donald Trump consistently say in that speech what happens in Milwaukee, except there was one slight problem. He was speaking in West Bend, Wisconsin, that's 95% white. Of course, Milwaukee has been the focus of lots of intense issues when it comes to the police and the community as a result of the shooting of Sealville Smith. Milwaukee Police Department folks already knew they needed to help and reached out to the Department of Justice several months ago, but they didn't stop Trump from giving his best shot at trying to reach black voters.
I'm asking for the vote of every African-American citizen struggling in our country today who wants a different and much better future. It's time for our society to address some honest and very, very difficult truths. The Democratic Party has failed and betrayed the African American community. Democratic crime policies, education policies, and economic policies have produced only more crime, more broken homes, and more poverty. Thank you. Let us look at the situation right here in Milwaukee, a city run by Democrats for decade after decade. Last year, killings in this city increased by 69%, plus another 634 victims of non-fatal shootings. 18 to 29-year-olds accounted for nearly half of the homicide victims. The poverty rate here is nearly double the national average. Almost 4 in 10 African-American men in Milwaukee between the ages of 25 and 54 do not have a job. Nearly 4 in 10 single mother households are living in poverty. 55 public schools in the city have been rated as failing to meet expectations despite $10,000 in funding per pupil, which is a very, very high number. There's only a 60% graduation rate, and it's one of the worst public school systems anywhere in the country. 1 in 5 manufacturing jobs has disappeared in Milwaukee since we fully opened our markets, and you understand what that means. We opened these markets to China, and many African-American neighborhoods have suffered. We opened our markets, they've taken our jobs, they give us our products that we don't make anymore, and African-American neighborhoods, along with many other neighborhoods, have suffered greatly. To every voter in Milwaukee, to every voter living in the inner city, or every forgotten stretch of our society, I'm running to offer you a much better future, a much better job.
Joining us now on FaceTime from Milwaukee, the mother of Dontre Hamilton and founder of Mothers for Justice United, Maria Hamilton, and Dontre's older brother and the founder of the Coalition for Justice, Nate Hamilton. Of course, Dontre was a young man who was killed by Milwaukee police last year in another case that got lots of attention. So I got to ask the both of you, your thoughts on listening to Donald Trump make the case for why black voters should vote for him when at no point did he talk about police accountability, at no point did he talk about criminal justice reform, and at no point did he talk about the issue of mass incarceration. Your take on that speech?
Well, I think those are the things that he should talk about the most, because those are the things that have been hindering the black community, especially here in Milwaukee and across the nation. And he didn't mention none of those things. He didn't mention his plan. Right now, I know the DOJ is doing a collaborative effort, but we here have asked for a pattern and practice investigation to the Milwaukee Police Department and also in Madison. So he's not actually saying that he's going to give us the things that we've been fighting for and that we've been asking for. So I think his statements was irrelevant yesterday. And also, like you stated, he was in West Bend, West Bend, Wisconsin. You know, he doesn't want to come to Milwaukee and address the black community in the way that he should be. He's really just following David Clark's lead and saying that, you know, the Democratic Party has been doing the black people wrong. All the politicians have been doing the black community wrong from my standpoint. So I think you can't just single out one party. I think you have to say it's collective in the way that they're operating.
Maria, what about that? Again, listening to that speech, listening to the Republican candidate somehow making the case that he wants black votes. But I mean, the reaction that I've seen on social media, African Americans are saying, Donald, we don't quite forget the comments you've made about black folks over the years.
Yeah, and that's true. He's been very, very ruthless towards black people. He had a black man arrested for raping a white woman that just got exonerated from prison. We don't forget those things. Donald Trump hasn't did anything for black people in New York, let alone across America. So I thought it was a slap in the face for him even to drive through Milwaukee, to go up north to West Bend and to speak. Because he was here in Milwaukee yesterday prior to him going to West Bend speaking about African American people.
Is it also insulting that if Donald Trump cares about what's happening in the community, I don't recall Donald Trump sitting down with victims of gun violence in Milwaukee. I don't recall Donald Trump meeting with community leaders. I mean, typically, if you're a presidential candidate, if you care about these issues, that's actually what you would do.
Well, you know, they say, you know, every time you hear somebody talk about black people, they say, well, it's the Black Lives Matter movement. Everything that happened is not surrounded around the Black Lives Matter movement. We started our own organization, and I'm pretty sure that we want people to respect us. And first of all, I come with the attitude of respecting myself. And if I respect myself, then it means anybody I come and encounter with, I'm gonna make sure that they respect me as well for who I am, black man. And I think any race would do that. So Donald Trump has to come out and he has to sit at the table with black individuals, not just black pastors, because black pastors are watered down to me sometimes around this nation. So we need to sit down with the real folks who have the real problems and see how we can get to a solution. And right now, no one is really doing that. And that's in politics right now.
Nate and Maria, we appreciate you joining us on TV One. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roland.
Right now, I want to go to Faraja Muhammad, host of Listen Up in Baltimore, WEAA, George Jefferson Nuri, founder and CEO of In the Public Eye Communications, Ralph Chitum's Senior Vice Chairman, D.C. Republican Party. Folks, what do you make of this weird speech last night? Donald Trump was giving a speech about African Americans doesn't, not in Milwaukee, in West Bend, 95% white. You see a photo of the audience, virtually no black folks there at all.
You know, I think it's insulting that Donald Trump, and telling, that Donald Trump talked about black people, but continues to refuses to talk to black people. He turned down a request from the Urban League. He turned down a request from the National Association of Black Journalists. He would not go to the NAACP. Far as I know, he's not going to the CBC Legislative Weekend coming up in September.
But as Maria said, you totally bypass Milwaukee.
Totally
bypass. You don't talk to anybody there.
Right.
But all of a sudden, ooh, I see black people. I care about black people, Faraji.
You see the speech, he's spitting out all these statistics about black folks, but at the end of the day, he, as Brother Nate Hamilton said, he's not offering anything of real concrete solutions. There's no plan. He hasn't talked about this issue. It's totally out of context. He feels uncomfortable talking about it, and at the end of the day, we just don't believe him, bro. We just don't believe him.
Off teleprompter, he doesn't talk about this at all.
But Ralph?
Well, everything Donald Trump said, all of his statistics, all of that was true. No one can refute any of the facts that he stated, but they were all true. But one thing that Mr. Hamilton said, one thing that Mr. Hamilton said, which I found very interesting, he said that neither party has done anything to help black people. So my question is, if neither party has done anything to help black people, then why are you going to stay and vote in the House that's burning down?
I'm going to ask.
Okay, the answer to that question is, if neither party has done anything for black people, okay, why would you change? Why would you vote for a Republican if they haven't done anything for you? I mean, what he's doing is making an argument not to vote, period, which is wrong.
I'm going to ask you again. Why would Donald Trump go to West Bend, Wisconsin, 95% white, to give a speech about black folks, and you bypass Wisconsin, which is called the most segregated city in America?
Right.
Why?
If I had to give a speech, I wouldn't have gone into Milwaukee.
Okay, why?
Milwaukee's not safe.
Go, stop. He has Secret Service. Are you actually telling me that Donald Trump, with Secret Service protection, could not be safe in Milwaukee?
I would not have given a speech in Milwaukee. I would have gone to a suburb.
Wait a minute. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
He can't be the president of the United States.
He can't be a president to go and talk to the people. Okay, then why is Obama in Milwaukee?
Are you telling me?
Why is Obama in Milwaukee?
Wait, hold on.
Why is Obama in Milwaukee?
This is what is illogical. The guy has Secret Service protection, and you're saying, oh my God, he wouldn't be safe in Milwaukee.
Then why isn't Obama there, and why isn't Hillary there?
No,
why aren't you just as mad because those Democrats aren't in Milwaukee?
Donald Trump didn't even go to Milwaukee, but here's the other piece.
But she said that
Donald Trump. Okay, so you telling me at this so-called speech targeting African Americans, you cool with it?
I'm not cool with a lot of things that
No, I'm asking you a question specifically about this speech. Not other stuff, this speech. Do you believe that was an effective speech to reach black voters?
No.
Okay.
He could have done more, and he should have done more.
Now, here's the other piece. Donald Trump.
All right, let me stop it right there. Ralph, is a nice guy, but when he said that he wouldn't have gone to Milwaukee because it wasn't safe, number one, that was stupid, because Roland was right that he does have Secret Service. What Ralph failed to realize was that Donald Trump was in Milwaukee that morning speaking to veterans and speaking to police officers. He was already in Milwaukee. If Milwaukee wasn't safe, how was he able to speak to veterans and to cops? Ralph, he was searching for a response, and he should have basically just agreed with Roland and moved on instead of trying to spin something that was a loser right off the bat.
Talking about African Americans, Shelley, put my iPad up. I've yet to see Donald Trump apologize for this ad where he said, bring back the death penalty, bring back our police, when he targeted a Central Park 5. Even when they were exonerated, Donald Trump still defended this and said they should be in prison. Really?
Yep. And what he did was divide and conquer in the African American community. He said he wanted to get rid of our criminals and protect those black families that want to send their kids to the good schools. That's a divide and conquer. We are all.
Here's the deal. 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 I have no issue at all with anybody sitting here dealing with the issue of crime. But again, I heard nothing about the bipartisan bill here in the Senate dealing with criminal justice reform. I heard nothing about mass incarceration. I heard nothing about the voter suppression there in Wisconsin. Again, Milwaukee, the most segregated city in America. And did you hear that come out of his mouth? No. So, Faraji, what was this?
This was political grandstanding at its best, and it was a slap in the face to black folks all across this country. And you know, when you look at the video from YouTube, it's like, this is the speech that's going to make black folks really vote for Donald Trump. Get the hell out of here. That's crazy to me. Because we cannot take sound bites and then expect sound bites to dictate policy in this country. And then say, oh, you know, he does care. Look, in Milwaukee, they have 1,900 officers. He didn't even talk about the fact that only about 200 officers actually have cameras on. He didn't even talk about that, which is a federal issue.
And he failed to even acknowledge that the Milwaukee Police Department has asked the Department of Justice to come into that city to assess their police department.
That's pretty well with the Milwaukee Police Department because they voluntarily reached out.
No. But the point is, when you can't even acknowledge it, that's a fundamental problem. Folks, hold tight 1 second. Coming up.
All right. Well, that's Roland's take on that speech last night. Everybody that I've spoken to this morning has been hot about that speech, so he's not alone.